When we think about the future of AI, our minds usually jump to killer robots, right? But what if the real danger is something quieter, something far more logical? Today, we're going to break down two possible futures for all of us, set in a world that's basically a mirror of our own, just a few decades down the line.
So let's jump right in. This world, Terra, isn't some far-off sci-fi fantasy. No, think of it as a thought experiment based on where our tech and our economy are heading right now. And that makes it a really powerful way to look at the choices we're all facing today.
And the big question is pretty simple, really. What happens when machines can do almost everything cheaper and better than people can? Well, according to this analysis, the road splits. And in this explainer, we're going to walk through both of those timelines. One that's kind of dark but makes a scary amount of sense. And another that's, well, a lot more tense, but also a lot more hopeful.
Okay, so first up, let's look at the cautionary tale. This is Terra A. This is what happens if we just let things unfold. It's the path of least resistance, a world where humanity, slowly but surely, finds itself pushed right to the very margins of society.
Now, this slide is super important because this future doesn't happen with a big bang. It's a slow creep. It's a series of logical, rational steps. It starts simple. Human labor just gets too expensive compared to robots. Then, the automated systems get so good they don't even need us as customers anymore. They just produce and trade among themselves. From there, well, people become kind of irrelevant to the main economy. And the final step? The government, needing the tax revenue from those automated systems, starts protecting the machines instead of its own people.
And this right here, this is the engine of Terra A's society. It's what they call self-sufficient capital. I mean, just imagine a completely closed loop. You've got robots and AI pulling resources out of the ground, building new machines, managing all the logistics and creating value, all without a single human needed as a worker or a customer. Capital just starts feeding itself. And all of us, we end up on the outside, looking in.
So how does a whole society get locked into a future like this? Well, the source points to 5 big warning signs. First, we start seeing AI as just another tool, instead of what it is, a totally new form of capital. Second, the government stops being a referee and starts being a bodyguard for that capital. Third, you start hearing chatter in the media about unproductive people. Fourth, the big dreams, space, energy, AI, they get privatized by just a handful of visionaries. And last, mass surveillance just becomes normal. If you see these things happening, you're on the road to Terra A.
And this really gets to the heart of what politics feels like in Terra A. I mean, think about this quote. Democracy becomes a ritual. People still go to the polls, they still vote, but it's all for show. The real power, the ability to actually change things, has completely shifted away from the voters and into the hands of whoever owns the automated systems.
But, and this is so important, this dark future isn't some pre-written destiny. It's the direct result of very specific choices made by real people at a critical moment in time. The source calls this moment the year of the break.
This slide is everything. It's the pivot point. You've got 3 people at a crossroads. On the path to Terra A, the easy, logical path, the engineer, Mira, she just stays quiet. The capitalist, Jaren, he goes for max profit. And the politician, Kale, signs the easy deal. Each choice makes perfect sense in the short term, but on the path to Terra B, they make the harder choice. Mira leaks the report, Jaren shares the profits, Kale stands up to the tech companies. Same people, same pressures, but totally different decisions, leading to 2 completely different worlds.
So let's talk about that other path. Let's go to Terra B and see what a different future could look like. And I gotta be clear, Terra B is not a utopia. It is messy. It's full of conflict and compromise, but it's a world where humanity still has a seat at the table.
And this quote, this is the core idea that Terra B is built on. Just like we all decided a century ago that something as fundamental as electricity couldn't just be controlled by a few private companies, they decided the same thing about AI. It's just too powerful, too essential to be a monopoly.
So how did they do it? Well, they didn't just try to regulate private AI, they built public alternatives right alongside it. They set up public AI institutes, they created something called Compute Commons. You can think of it like a public library, but instead of checking out books, small businesses, co-ops, and community groups can check out massive amounts of AI processing power. It keeps a few big tech giants from owning the whole game.
Okay, but what about the biggest question of all? If robots are doing all the jobs, how do people eat? Terra tackles this head-on with something called automation funds. The idea is simple. If a company replaces a human with a machine, it has to put a slice of the extra profit into these funds. That money then gets paid out to every single citizen as a social dividend. It breaks that old link between having a job and having a right to survive.
And finally, they totally rethought what ownership even means. Instead of everything being concentrated in the hands of a few shareholders, they pushed for shared ownership. Now, they didn't abolish capitalism, not at all, but they kind of diluted it. They encouraged employee co-ops. They made it so huge projects had to have mixed ownership. The state, the local community, and private investors all had to have a stake. It just creates a much more diverse economy where way more people get a piece of the pie.
So after seeing these two futures, these two paths that split from the exact same point in time, you have to ask yourself, right? Which path are we on right now?
Let's just lay it all out side by side. It's pretty stark. In Terra A, the closed world, AI is a tool for capital, humans are just a cost on a spreadsheet, and the future is owned by select few. But in Terra B, the open world, AI is also a public good, people have value beyond their job, and the future is something that everyone gets to fight over and build together. One world is closed, the other is open.
And this brings us to the really tough question, doesn't it? It's one thing to sketch out a better world on paper, but is it actually realistic? I mean, the source itself says we're animals with instincts. We tend to favor our own tribe, our own status, our own short-term gains. So doesn't that path of least resistance almost always lead to Terra A?
The analysis here is brutally honest, and it says a better future is not likely. Power tends to protect itself. Our instincts can pull us towards selfish choices. But, and this is a huge but, it is possible. Just look at history, the abolition of slavery, the fight for the 40-hour workweek, the creation of public schools. All of these were things that went directly against the powerful interests of their day. Justice is never the default setting. It's always the result of a fight.
And that's really the final takeaway, summed up perfectly in this quote. It translates to, it's not likely, but it is possible. That better path, Terra B, it's not the probable one, it's not the easy one, but it is possible. The future isn't some destination we just arrive at. It's something we are building, or not building, with every choice we make. So the real question isn't what the future will be, it's which one are we willing to fight for.